You know, whenever I write a column on the gay marriage issue, I of course get a number of emails from people who ardently disagree with my position on the matter. And these emails usually have references to or accusations of hate-mongering and homophobia, and they invariably end by posing one of two questions, or maybe both. First, who are you to shove your religion down our throats? I get those even when I don't mention a faith. And second, what's it to you if gay people marry? And I suspect that there are a lot of you here tonight wondering those same questions. So let's talk about it. So who am I to impose my religious beliefs on other people? And just to clarify, and I'm sure you all know this, but there are those who support Prop 8 for reasons other than faith. But because that is one of my main reasons, I'm very happy to answer to that. So who do I think I am? Well, I'm a free American, for one, who not only has the right, but the obligation to speak out when I perceive the institution most essential to the well-being of our society is under attack. And just because that which compels me to speak up is to a great extent grounded in faith beliefs, does not make that view any less valid than anyone else's. We each develop our own convictions through our upbringing, through our environment, through our education, and yes, through our faith beliefs or the lack of them. And I would like to point out a simple and rather obvious truth that a very wise man pointed out to me just a couple of weeks ago, and that is that all of our laws require the imposing of someone's convictions. Somebody decided there was something going on that wasn't just or fair or right or healthy for our society, and they managed to convince others of the truth of that. So the suggestion that people of faith somehow have no right to speak out on this matter merely because their argument springs from deeply held faith beliefs is simply ludicrous. We people of faith speak out on the issue of gay marriage because we can and because we must. And it's not just that the California Supreme Court legalized gay marriage, it's how they did it. Because in order to create this new constitutional right, they had to usurp the democratic process. And for those of us who believe in the democratic process, it was a stunning decision. In California Supreme Court Justice Marvin Baxter, in his dissenting opinion, wrote that the majority court committed a profound error en route to its conclusion. He said, judges with limited accountability risk infringing upon our society's most basic shared premise, that the people's general right, directly or through their chosen legislators, to decide fundamental issues of public policy for themselves. There is nothing in our Constitution, he wrote, that gives the justices the right to erase and then recast the age-old definition of marriage as virtually all societies have understood it in order to satisfy its own contemporary notion of equality and justice. 8 years ago in California, the people spoke. And this year, the court said, tough. Now let's narrow the focus just a little bit. If the election were held today, and Proposition 8 was approved by the voters, and an amendment was added to the California Constitution defining marriages between a man and a woman, California's gay couples would awake tomorrow to a day no different than the one before. Nothing about their lives would change, because current California statutes already grant same-sex couples who choose to become domestic partners virtually all of the legal rights accorded to married couples under California law. In other words, homosexual couples already enjoy the same rights and liberties as heterosexual couples. Now, on the other hand, if Prop 8 fails and the definition of marriage is forever altered, parents and people of faith will wake up to a world where our right to live in accordance to our theology and our right to act as the primary directors of our children's moral education will be severely compromised, if not threatened. Now, a few months ago, when the state Supreme Court created that new constitutional right, they did say, and I want to clarify this because there's been some misunderstandings about it, they did say that same-sex couples cannot force religious organizations to marry them against that organization's religious beliefs. So religious organizations at this time cannot be forced to marry same-sex couples. But what is a religious organization but a body of believers, a community of like-minded individuals who embrace the same faith? Am I, as a member of that religious organization, also guaranteed the free exercise of my religion without discrimination. Mounting evidence from around the United States indicates that I'm not. Let me give you a few examples. In New Mexico, a same-sex couple asked the owners of Elaine Photography in Albuquerque to photograph a commitment ceremony the two women wanted to hold. The business owners declined the job, saying their Christian beliefs were in conflict with the message of the ceremony. The same-sex couple responded by filing a complaint with the New Mexico Human Rights Commission, accusing the photographers of discrimination based on sexual orientation. The commission found for the couple and ordered the photographers to pay more than $6,000 in the couple's legal fees. Now, I wonder how many hits like that a small business can take. In Massachusetts, the Boston Globe reported the Harvard Law School last year opened the Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, and Transgender Law Clinic to address unique legal dilemmas raised by the state's legalization of same-sex marriage. Among those dilemmas, how to deal with a school system that fails to use books and curriculum that addresses gender diversity in families. Here in California, most recently, 2 Christian doctors declined to artificially inseminate a lesbian patient, citing their faith beliefs, and instead they referred her to the physician who was able to help her get pregnant and even offered to pay the extra cost. She sued the doctors for discrimination and won, and in September the Supreme Court upheld that decision. The state cannot force people of faith to violate their convictions and promote a message they do not agree with. And yet, such religious persecution, as I pointed out, is already taking place. I recently received a letter from a local gay man, a conservative gay man named Eric Bartley, who says he feels that there's no need to, quote, go on some moral offensive on behalf of equal rights that are already present, and that gay rights to me has always seemed a if you give a mouse a cookie proposition. When is enough enough? And those of you who know that childhood story, you know that it's never enough. Simply redefining marriage will not be enough. Now, this is not an equal rights issue. This is not about gay couples having the same health benefits or the same hospital visitation rights because they already have that. This is about not only altering the definition of marriage, but the core purpose of marriage, which, in case we've all forgotten, is children. This is not a new concept, nor is it news that mothers and fathers both play crucial roles in the growth and development of their children. And anyone who says otherwise is in denial. There are countless studies out there that support this. But the one I'm most recently reading, and the one that's been in the press lately, is from Child Trends, where researchers show that both the number and the type of parent in a child's household can have strong effects on a child's well-being. The study found among children living in 2-parent families, those living with both biological parents in a low-conflict marriage tend to be doing much better than those living in step-parent families on a host of outcomes, including academic performance, social achievement, and psychological adjustment. Now, I'm not saying, and please understand, I'm not saying that gay parents can't be great parents, and I'm not saying that straight parents are always the best, and we all know that's true. But is it right for our court to impose a system that knowingly deprives a child of a mom or a dad? I don't think so. The television commercials against Prop 8 carry the tagline that says, anyone should be able to marry anyone they want. Yet clearly, the movement by gay activists was not meant to include everybody, but only to move the boundary just far enough for homosexuals, bisexuals, and transgender people, and all other consenting adults, like polygamists, for example, need not apply. And Lord knows they've been chipping away at that stone for many years. So before we leave tonight, I would love to hear some justification as to why the boundaries of traditional marriage should be moved to include homosexuals, but continue to exclude other people groups. Man and marriage are creations of God. Some of us know that with our hearts and minds and souls, but all of us know it innately, which is why His creation, His approval, and His affirmation is now so desperately sought. Through His Word, God makes it clear His design for marriage is the union of one man and one woman, a husband and a wife. The question tonight is, how do I tell God He's wrong?